Hello there, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Memeobi's Galaxy. I'm your host, Memeobi, and today we've got a special treat for all you Star Wars fans. In this episode, we're diving deep into the Acolyte. Now, this series has been sparking some major debates across the galaxy, and we're here to break down the most controversial moments. This time, I've got a guest with me who is all in on the Acolyte. They loved it, and today they're going to take on all the criticisms head first. We'll be discussing what worked, what didn't, and whether or not some of these hot takes hold any weight. So grab your lightsabers and let's get this debate started. With me today, I am joined by a guest named Eden. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
So before we get into it, I'm not going to do trivia for you today.
Okay.
Just because no one cares about the Acolyte trivia. Sorry.
Of course. No, I totally understand.
Well, let's just get to know you slightly.
Mm-hmm.
What is your Star Wars story, they say? Like, when did you first start watch Star Wars, earliest memories, the whole bit?
No, so I come into Star Wars probably with a little bit of a different perspective than most people, just because I started watching Star Wars, I think, when I was about like 12 or 13 years old, rather than like a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little older. My dad was a pretty big Star Wars fan when it was first coming out, because he was just the right age when it was coming out. So, or I guess it had already come out at that point. I don't remember exactly, but he was the one who introduced me to it. When I think it was The Force Awakens, the first of the last trilogy was coming out. My dad wanted to go see it in theaters, but I had never been exposed to any Star Wars stuff. So we had a binge few days. I think it was 3 days in a row where we binged all the movies, the first 6. We started with episode 1. He was really going back and forth as to whether he wanted to start me in which order. But I mean, I already kind of knew the I am your father quote.
Sure.
And so it wasn't like I was going into it with no knowledge of Star Wars, but that's how I was introduced to it, was those first few movies, all because there was a new one coming out and he wanted to go see it in theaters. After that, I had enjoyed the movies. I wasn't obsessed yet until...
Yeah, what happened?
Well, I don't remember how much later it was, but I had come downstairs to our little TV room in the basement, and my dad and my brother were watching the Clone Wars.
Nice.
They were already a few episodes in, but it was season 1, so it doesn't go in a particular order.
Correct.
It just kind of has arcs here and there. And I did the stereotypical dad thing where I'm I'm not watching, but I'm standing in the corner watching the TV.
Yep.
And so I had started watching that show with them, and then they had kind of fallen off. They were oh my God, it's so many seasons. I don't want to keep watching it, because my brother was pretty young at the time, so his attention span was phew. So I continued watching it without them, and from there I was hooked.
Nice.
I already enjoyed the movies, so seeing Clone Wars just expand that universe for me, and then now we're here, and I'm obsessed with most things Star Wars.
Nice. That's awesome. That's great. We love Star Wars here. Perfect. Well, with that, we are going to get into it. I've been throwing back and forth in my brain how I want to start the episode. But what I will say is we're going to be discussing the show itself, not the politics around it, not interviews before it that made people mad. Here's a story. My buddy Austin, he didn't have Disney Plus, so he didn't get to watch Acolyte.
Okay.
His buddy also didn't watch the Acolyte because he hated the interviews. And they then proceeded to have a giant argument about whether it was good or bad, but neither had seen the show.
Was this after it had already all been released, so they both could have watched the show?
Correct.
They just didn't?
Correct.
Incredible. We love
this
fans.
is the internet. This is the world we live in, which is insane. So we're not going to be touching on production, whether they should have chose certain actors, because I've gotten a lot of complaints from certain people that it was too DEI, too diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it took them out of the experience. And when I watched it, I was like, what? I didn't even notice there was more girls or people of color, whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
People are oh yeah, when I first saw it and there's a bunch of people, I just knew that it was a political thing. I'm like, really? Because when I go into Star Wars things, I just watch them.
Oh, same.
And I watch them for fact. Later in the end of the season, when all the witches die, right? Yeah. I'm like, dang, that's crazy that's how it works. Yeah. Instead of that's not how it works. That doesn't make any sense. But nothing makes sense.
I totally see what you're saying. I guess I'm kind of similar in the way that I don't go into it looking for things to pick apart, but I go into it more for entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I want to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's Star Wars. It's a fictional universe. Like, I'm there for the mystery and the magic and all the fun stuff about it. Not going in it to be like, oh, this doesn't match up with this. Which, I mean, if it's obvious, I am going to be like, hang on a second.
Like continuity stuff. We're going to talk about the show that it is that we have that has released. Not
what it could have been.
Not necessarily. I mean, we might touch on a tiny bit, like maybe what they could have done better slightly. We'll see. So let's just jump into it. Okay. Let's just talk about probably just May and Osha.
Okay. Yeah.
Since they are the same person technically. And just kind of let's just start with Osha.
Okay.
So a lot of people hated her for her for the writing. Yeah. Is what they said. Yeah. Because what people said, well, I don't know. I'm really throwing back and forth. Is it May or Osha? Do they not like more?
I am not sure because I've heard different opinions. Personally, I guess from like an acting perspective, like I think that the actress delivered her lines better, or emotion, or came across a little more convincingly. Yep. Thank you. Just a little better as Osha. I don't think that like May was a very like natural character for her to fall into, which I mean is totally fine. Like there are people's strong suits versus not. Sure. But I don't know. I've also heard people say that she was much better as May and Osha was just annoying. And so
but I think that's more like preferences on people and like how like how you like people. Like if that's not your personality that you normally get along with, you're not going to like that person.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm probably going to jump around a lot here.
No, you're totally fine.
We're just going to talk. I want to talk about they marketed the show as a mystery.
Okay.
But then they presented the mystery as the mystery was going to be who is the killer? Is it actually Osha? But in my mind, that's not what the real mystery is. But like trailers and stuff.
Okay.
It was kind of shown like who is the person killing these Jedi. But that was revealed kind of episode 2. Yeah. Basically. Like, oh, yeah. It was almost episode 1. So like, it's like mystery wise, it's like, oh, that's kind of lame. Yeah. I did get a comment the other day that said they were mad that they killed off such a good actress on the first episode. I was like, guys, you didn't finish it, did you? He's like, no, I didn't have time. I was like, well, you can't.
They did kill her off technically, but she's still in the show. Well, guys, believe it or not, there's more episodes on episode 1.
That perspective, like people watching one episode and then not be like, they killed off a good actress. I don't care anymore. Yeah. I don't know. It was such a weird release being like, it's a mystery, but then like revealing it initially.
I will say I didn't watch it because of any like what's the word? Trailers. Like I didn't really see any marketing for it, so I do see why that's strange. Like, what do you mean they marketed it as a mystery?
They did market it as a mystery.
That definitely was not a mystery show. I will agree with that point.
There is the mystery of like what happened on
yes, there's that. But like if they're marketing it as like who is killing these Jedi, I guess I can see how it could have potentially been that sort of mystery, but
so here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I didn't like Osha because the way they presented her, meaning they exposition dumped initially. Like Yord was like, you got kicked out of the Jedi Order because you couldn't control your emotions and you were too mad and then you couldn't make it because you were too attached to your family that died when you were a child.
Yeah, that's pretty much word for word what happened. Yeah.
Compared to Osha, like having a mystery character like Rey.
Yeah.
We didn't know why she wanted to stay on Jakku, right? Yeah. Like it was kind of like it built and we learned about it instead of like episode 1 dumping like, oh, it's because you have anger issues and you got kicked out. Like, so like that perspective it felt like there wasn't much to learn about Osha because it's kind of like she was just kind of there, just everyone just like, hey, you should come along on this adventure. She wasn't really wanting to do that. But what I will say I like about Osha is that she was really greedy.
Yes, and I agree. Keep talking.
People don't. I feel like they don't catch on to that. Like Osha and May. May wanted to be with her sister. That was like her whole goal in life. You know, one with me together as born as 2. The whole bit. Osha just wanted to be trained and accepted by someone that wasn't her family.
Yes.
Because she was just like wanted to go out.
I love that you're bringing this up because I thought like I have seen it now 3 times. Nice. So I thought that it was so cool. Even my first watch through, I thought it was so cool that they were dropping the hints of like, oh, of course she's going to be the one to turn the dark side, because the whole time she's talking about what I want, me. This is what I want. I don't care what you want. Like, I want me. And I think that's so cool because she's being selfish.
Yeah,
she's being
she
greedy,
is.
which she's a child, obviously. So like, it's going to be a little bit different. But I still think it's cool that even as, like, I guess in your words, the exposition dumping, like it's still because she's being selfish and greedy.
For sure.
And I think that's such a cool like hint of like, hey, this is actually like, no wonder they flipped. Like, it's not like a out of the blue switch between the two girls. It was there from episode 1.
Now, with that, I will say a complaint I have about Osha is they keep talking about how she couldn't control her emotions, and that's why she got kicked or had to leave the Jedi Order. But she never does that. She never loses control of her emotions until the last episode, or the second to last episode, or
it's the last one. I'm pretty sure.
The last episode, she gets really mad.
Yeah,
but they hadn't like shown that. Like if they would have been like showing her like a little anger, like no, I don't want to go with you, or like or really refuse. But it's just kind of showing her just kind of do things. Yeah,
no, I guess I get that.
That's one thing I think. I guess I never
thought of it that way. But no, I totally agree with you.
Like
on
showing
that would have been cool.
Like just a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Not as nuanced, just like kind of in your face, like oh, she kind of has some anger issues. That's why she got kicked out. Cool. No, she's just like super happy-go-lucky. You're ready to like join in, help out. No, I don't want to go. Okay, sure. I'll go. Like I don't know. She's pretty nice for someone who has her emotions out of control.
I suppose, but it's been what?
That's true.
16 years since she was in the Order, and most of the Jedi Order, like especially with like Anakin's story, is like suppress your emotions, and that just makes it worse. So I feel like some time out of the Order was probably better for her.
Oh, for sure.
To learn how to regulate her emotions herself, so that I'm obviously not the writer, so like but still, that might be why she didn't completely lose it until the very end, after she had been spending more time, again, with all these Jedi who were pushing their philosophies on her again. And at that point, once she spent X amount of days with them, she's finally back to her breaking point of like not being able to control her emotions.
But Osha, like not Kid. I honestly, I liked Kid Osha a lot. Like,
okay.
I liked how I liked the actress and stuff. I liked how they did it. I thought it was really goofy, and I thought it was like, she felt like a kid to me.
Okay.
She felt like she acted correctly. Like she's kind of selfish. She was just like a selfish kid.
Yes.
And they like bickered and stuff. And it worked for me.
I agree with you that it worked because they were kids.
Right.
The acting wasn't
you didn't like
for
it?
me.
You didn't like it?
No. Like,
I get it.
I've seen good child actors. And obviously, they're children.
They are.
They're not like trained. They don't have all these years of experience.
Right.
But like, again...
Yeah,
I don't know who was in, I don't know who auditioned. I don't know
who
the other options were, but
that's the thing with child actors is like not all, like if you hang out with kids a lot, some are just awkward.
Yeah, wait, you're so true. That's
like some kids
true.
don't act like main characters.
Yeah.
And like say stupid things and stuff.
I think what my issue is that they have these child actors who are already probably not the most experienced. I didn't really look into them to see if they were in anything else. But then you subject them to Star Wars writing and Star Wars dialogue, which is already not the best. And then you're stuck with a terrible combination of like, and now you have to work with this. Like, oh, well, okay.
Because it's funny because like people are like, oh, the acting's bad or like the writing's bad, the dialogue's clunky or weird. I'm like, but that is Star Wars. That is Star Wars. It feels like the most prequel thing since the prequels.
Yes. No, I totally agree with you there.
And like maybe that's just how they talk in this universe. Maybe they don't. Except for in Andor, they talk all great. But
they're so eloquent.
They're so eloquent. But yes, Osha. I think I don't know. She's all right.
She's fine.
Yes,
I don't dislike either of them. You know who I do dislike?
Who?
I really don't like Yord.
Really
don't like Yord, but not because it was bad acting or bad writing. I think he's a dislikable character, and they did that well enough that I really did not like him.
Really, I was like fine with Yord.
I don't know what it was about him, but he really bothered me.
I mean, it didn't bother me that he died, but like
me neither. I did. I saw him die. I was like,
it was
brutal.
I mean, it's good that he died. I think it's good. I think.
I think it's good that he died.
But like, I thought, I don't know. I liked him because he what his character was. He was trying to be all official. He was trying to be a master.
Yes.
Like all like steam in his robes. Yeah. And like all the whole bit. But I like that about him. But yeah, I get it. Like he's just kind of a character.
No, yeah. Okay.
It's well
Let me
done,
rephrase.
No. It's well done, but it's supposed
yes,
to be.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be a dislikable
It's
character,
supposed to be a
which is
dislikable
why
character.
I enjoyed his performance. Like I
Yeah.
liked it because of like all the reasons you were saying,
Mhm.
but that makes him a dislikable character for
Yeah.
me because like I don't know what it. I don't know if it was like the way he was treating others or
Mhm.
like I thought it was so funny in episode 2, I think it was, or 3. The one where they're staking out the apothecary
Yeah.
and he gives this like, we should go in like this. And then Jackie,
Yeah.
the Padawan, goes, I think we should do this.
Mhm.
And immediately Soul is like, yeah, let's go with that plan. Yeah. I thought that was so funny. I was like, yeah.
Let's go with the Padawan's plan.
Yep. No, literally, like, shut it, Yord. You don't know anything
Well, because she's
yet.
so much better. But
I love
now
her.
that was a death I was kind of bummed about.
I know. Oh my God. That fight.
That was
I feel
sweet.
like I'm jumping ahead, but
No,
like
it's fine.
the
fight was
choreography
awesome.
just
Was
throughout
awesome.
the whole show was incredible. But that episode in particular, I was floored.
No, it was
I
so
was
good.
in awe the whole time.
Yeah. No, it was really. It was probably it's top 3 lightsaber fights for me is in Acolyte for sure.
Oh, I believe
that
it.
could be controversial. You never know.
Hey, throwing out some hot takes here.
But better than the original trilogy, obviously. It has to be. That's all slow.
I was gonna say
No,
it's
but
not
no,
that high of a bar.
Like just show. I don't know. It was the whole thing. Chimere and this whole fighting style and like his helmet that turns off people's lightsabers.
Yes. And like the arm brace. Yeah.
The arm brace. And I do like that they killed off all the no-name characters fast to make you think that they're not going to kill off everybody else.
Yes. Yep.
It was kind of because it's like, oh, this is Star Wars. No one ever dies. Just whatever. And then they all die.
Yes.
Jackie gets stabbed 3 times.
I really liked how like aggressive it was, especially like Yord's death. Like that was such a cool moment. I was the first time I watched this show, lore time.
Yeah.
My best friend and I had gone on this road trip to go spend some time at like a cabin by a lake in California. And while we were there, the show had already all released. Like we weren't watching it one episode at a time. They had all released. We were like, hey, I personally told her, I was like, hey, so I've seen some edits on TikTok. I think we should watch this show together. Because don't even get me started yet. We'll get there in a second. So she and I are both huge Star Wars nerds.
Sure.
And so I was like, hey, let's watch this show together.
Yeah.
And so we binged that whole show in like 2 days. And then again, like within the span of a week, we watched it all in one night because we had picked up a third friend to come with us and she wanted to know what we were talking about because my best friend and I could not stop talking about this show. And so our third person was like, what are you talking about? So we watched it all again. So within the span of a week, I had seen it twice. And she and I, my friend and I were, like I said, that whole episode, we were just like slack-jawed in awe about the fight scene. But Yord's death, we literally, like, we would rewind it and play it again because we were like, because the first part of that episode was like, oh, you know, he impales someone and then a tree hides, like the camera movement makes it so that there's a tree in the way when they get decapitated. But like, obviously it's like, oh my God, that's a crazy death.
Right.
But then seeing him break someone's neck, square, dead center in the middle, oh my God, that was like crazy for Star Wars. Because like, at least in my brain, because I mean, like I said, I'm used to like Clone Wars being like, oh, a kid's show, at least for the first few seasons. Sure. Obviously it evolved, but like seeing his aggressive fighting style, and I just thought it was awesome.
No, and that's the thing. It feels like it should, like Star Wars fans should like it. It feels like everyone should like it because it is so intense. But I think it was the leading up episodes that people couldn't get through because they didn't do any lightsaber stuff until like the last 3 or 4 out of the 8.
Yes, there were a few good fight scenes, I think.
But here's the thing. I do agree that binge watching it is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because watching it episode to episode when it came out in the weeks was kind of rough.
Okay.
Because like the episode before the lightsaber fight, they just kind of walk through the woods for an entire episode. It's called Day, and then the next one is Night. So like watching that and like,
so true.
I have nothing to think about. I have nothing to like. Okay, cool. They're walking, and then they almost and we almost saw a fight. Neat. And they have to wait a week. So I would say that one, because that episode specifically felt like it was supposed to be one episode.
Which one?
The Day and Night, the woods one, because it was. They came out later and said that it was originally written as one episode. I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks. They split it into 2.
I mean, it makes sense.
Like, but watching it now, binge watching it, it would work. It'd be fine. Okay, oh, sweet. Let's see what happened to the people. It does feel like the show there was a lot of hands in it, meaning like splitting up the episodes, like having them like be shorter or longer, and like, I don't know, not having a consistent length of time for the episodes. Some are like 28 minutes, some are like 38, like I don't know. You know, because like original like cable TV shows always have a certain length of time.
Okay.
Just because it does feel like there's a lot of meddling involved. It's like the way I normally put it.
Okay.
Because you know, George Lucas makes a movie.
Yeah.
He makes a movie.
Yeah.
That he wants to make.
Mm-hmm.
Now someone has to make a George Lucas movie, and they have to make it fit the right length of time. I don't know.
So hang on. Let me see if I can. Let me clarify to see if I understand what you're trying to say. You think that Disney is the one like making the pacing feel weird because they want to adhere to certain things that Disney wants, or
yeah, I think so. It's because like flashback episodes.
Yeah.
So having a flashback episode being the second to last episode of the show kind of slows down the pacing, because like building up, oh, they're going to the final planet. Oh, flashback episode. Yeah, I love that flashback episode. I think it's important.
Yes.
But similar to the Book of Boba Fett, I think restructuring the flashbacks could have helped. I think if it would have opened with, honestly, I think it would be cooler if it opened with the Jedi's perspective and don't do a mystery. Yeah. Showing like Soul's perspective of like the witches not knowing, like that being the mystery, how like what was going on in the witch cult. And then like, because I just watched it today, actually, that episode. So it's fresh on my mind. But it felt like that would have been cool to like have like the flashbacks not be flashbacks and just be the first 2 episodes of the show. Okay. Or potentially just the first one. And then maybe flashback to like Osha's perspective later. And I don't know. I think it potentially could have made it, I don't know, it could have made people like it better in a way.
I mean, I don't know, because there's already so much like hate around this show that I don't think redoing anything really would have changed people's opinions. Because like, if like, I guess in my brain, if you did have the first few episodes be those flashback episodes, I feel like people would find a way to complain about, well, why did we start in this year and why did we time jump forward? Why couldn't it have just started here and then have flashback?
Well, yeah, everyone's going to complain about everything.
There's always someone that's going to complain, but I do see where you're coming from, but I don't know. I feel like those flashback episodes were entertaining enough to me that it didn't slow it down too much. I feel like just in general, whether there's a flashback, I like to read. So whether there's flashback or perspective shifts in a book, it always takes a second, or like even in a movie or a show, it always takes a second to like adjust to be like, oh, well, I wanted to know the rest of the story. Okay, fine. I guess we'll get some background first. So like, that's kind of just a thing across the board. I feel like it's not just with this show where it's like, oh, it's just a terrible episode. Like, no, you just have to adjust for a second that you're going to have to pay attention to a different story first, and then we'll continue on. Like, it's not exclusive to this piece of media, but I do see where you're coming from. Like, it could have slowed it down. I get that. But again, I feel like I was entertained enough because I was fascinated with the witches. I'm obsessed with like the Night Sisters. So I think having another like cult, another witch cult on top of that, like it just expands that side of the universe for me, because I feel like that's so cool. It's really, so there's a lot of complaints about the witches in general. Okay. Do you have specifics? I do have specifics. Incredible. One complaint they have is, for some reason, they hate the way that they describe the Force as a thread and you pull it. Like that's not how the Force is. No, that's just how not your cult talks about it. Thank you. That's literally what I was going to say.
Like your religion. Sorry, you're a Methodist, and they don't say the same things as the Baptist or the whatever, right? Like, who's just like they're like, oh, that makes the Jedi look bad. I'm like, okay, but who's to say that this main like Christianity, let's say, because that's what the one is. Yes. The main religion is the correct religion in this world. Why? Because in my mind, there's a book about Luke Skywalker that goes and finds like a monks that use the Force, and they describe it as like a wave or something like that. It's like,
yeah, I don't know much about legends.
That's fine.
So.
No, it's not like that's actually canon now. But anyways, when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just another way to describe the Force. Exactly. Like maybe it's not ideal for us because we've heard other perspectives, but like they're a coven, and like that's how they describe it, and that's how they have learned it.
Even I feel like, don't quote me on this, but I feel like even the Jedi and the Sith describe the Force differently. Like they have different codes, and like no one's like, obviously they're not going to describe
it the same. It is an entire universe.
Same with the thank you, the entire universe too. But it's same with like the Night Sisters. Like I think they use the Force like intertwined with like dark magic, right?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that correctly?
They use magic with a K.
Yeah, yes, the fancy one. But like exactly like you said, like the one religion isn't necessarily gonna be the correct one. Like,
right, and like who's to say they're the perfect people? So before we jump into that, which I want to get into,
okay.
I think I can't remember if it came out before, but Tales of the Empire. I don't know if you've watched Tales of the Empire.
I haven't yet.
That goes over
Yes, I know
Morgan Elsbeth.
Yes.
She, when General Grievous attacked the Night Sisters to kill them all, she escaped, and there's a mountain witch group.
Okay.
On Dathomir that doesn't like the Night Sisters.
Okay.
And they're different, but they still use the Force and stuff. Or like, and I don't know, having that, I'm like, oh wow, there's multiple of these.
Yeah.
Even in this show, they're like, do you think it's a Force cult? Like, oh wow, another one of those. Like they weren't that surprised.
So obviously it's like
it's a thing.
Exists. Yeah, it's a thing.
But people were mad about it, and like people were mad about their chants and the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, and like their weird movements.
Really?
People hated that.
Oh, okay.
But so
I really liked that. Okay, maybe the dialogue was a little strange, but it's like the Night Sisters had their chance just because it wasn't in English and you couldn't understand. Like, oh, that made it cooler.
Right.
But like, yes,
but like in our own world, there's a lot of cultures that have rituals and things that do look goofy.
Also,
they look super goofy, right?
Yes.
But like, who's to say this one isn't important to this culture?
Yes. Okay. I grew up Christian.
Sure.
And going to church and seeing people sing with like their hands up.
Yeah.
That
goofy.
Feels a little goofy to me.
Is.
Like obviously, like you're feeling like you have a lot of feelings, and if you're like religious, like of course, do what feels best for you. Like I'm not gonna be the one to be like, you should not do that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's a religion. It's gonna be a little silly here and there.
It is. Yeah, that's true. And with that, people didn't like that they made the Jedi to be bad or make bad decisions.
See. I love that they did that because I like that they gave us the side of the Jedi that we don't usually get to see, because I feel like there's always at least one planet or one person or one group or something in some part of the Star Wars universe that is like super judgy of the Jedi. And now we get to see why, because obviously they're not perfect.
Right.
So now we get to see why there's so much hatred throughout little corners of the galaxy of the Jedi. We get to see why people, like some people, didn't necessarily fight Order 66 because like, oh yeah, the Jedi are corrupt. Like it had been a suspicion of people for a while. So like it kind of gives us that background of, well, if the Jedi are so perfect and like everyone looks up to them, why are they so like, why do people hate them? Like, okay, well here's why. So I don't know. I liked getting to see that kind of.
I don't think it made them out to be like bad or like
yeah.
But the thing
didn't make them necessarily.
You have to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Jedi, right? It's
especially at that time,
right? And I guess the show was marketed. It was going to be during High Republic era, which is they have a bunch of books called High Republic. I think I know what you're talking about. It's like the height of the Jedi is what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But this show, and everyone thought it was going to be about that, but this show is at the tail end of when they started kind of falling, and like because like there's all the scenes with the green lady,
Vernestra.
Yes, sorry, I'm really bad at names.
No, it's okay. I had to write them down.
Venestra, like starting to talk with like the
Republic.
Like the Republic and stuff, and like kind of before that, Jedi didn't really do anything political, and this is them trying to be political, and that thus causing Episode 1 and then being really involved in like the everything and like the war and everything.
Yeah.
But you have to put it in perspective. It's similar to just church because it's a religion basically, right? So it's similar to like churches in the world. There's a lot of terrible people. Just because you're a deacon on a church doesn't mean you're a jerk.
Yeah.
You know, like there are
doesn't mean you're a perfect person.
You can go through the motions and like sure, you know, Jedi is different because you're meditating. You have like people that can read your mind and the whole thing, right? But like, who's to say that you couldn't get away with corruption? Who's to say you can't, guard your mind against the Jedi Master so they don't know what you're really thinking, and to use like just like real people in real life, right? Like like there's great people that are horrible people.
Yeah, all fantasy has to be based off of something,
right? And like I think people just don't get that a lot. They kind of like, no, they're supposed to be perfect. Well, we've only followed that. At this point, we've only followed the High Council.
Yeah, no, I do understand the need for like the fans thinking that, oh, the Jedi have to be perfect because that's how it was marketed towards when it that's how they were perceived when it first came out. So that means that's how it has to stay.
Right.
Because this is what's nostalgic to them.
Well, back then you only had two guys.
Yes.
So
you had the good guy and the bad guy.
And the worst of the worst.
I mean, before Samuel L. Jackson asked for a purple lightsaber, there was only like 3 colors of lightsaber too. So like it's been expanding forever. And the fact that it's still expanding, I feel like is just a nod to how incredible that this community is and how widespread it is, because it's expanding to all different types of stuff. So the fact that it's going to be a little different now is, I feel like, should be expected.
I'm okay with them.
Especially when it's lasted for this long. Like, you can only do so much.
and that's the thing. Like, they're such inside a small box now. It's like, unless they retcon things, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
We can jump into some witches, I guess.
Okay.
What else we got? I like the witches.
I did too.
They're all right. They're pretty cool.
Going back to the power of one, power of many,
two.
I didn't dislike it. What I appreciated was, and I guess I don't know whose job this is to be in charge of this decision, but I loved the dissonance in their voice. Like, I love how it's supposed to be like a musical-y type of like vibe. Like, it's supposed to sound culty, obviously, because that's what they are. But I loved the dissonance in their voice. The music like worked for me. I've heard that some people didn't like the music, and I don't know. I'm not going to go into that.
People are louder now because we have the internet.
Yeah.
Before, if you just had a group, if you had like one guy that didn't like the music, you're never going to hear about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. But now, like you said, everyone's louder now. But it's okay because people are allowed to have opinions.
It is. It's okay. And that's the thing. Like, I'm okay with people not liking the show.
Oh, yeah.
For good reasons.
I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just explaining why I like the show.
But there are
You are?
Yes. Because there are dumb reasons.
There
are dumb reasons to not like a show.
Oh, well, okay, yes, there are, but
so
I
with
feel
the
like
witches, the dumb reason not to like the show is a lot of people were upset that having the girls be born without a father through the Force made Anakin being the chosen one null and void.
I disagree.
Well, yeah. It's very so.
Okay.
So there's no canon explanation of who created Anakin.
There isn't. Okay, because I wasn't sure.
Not officially.
Okay.
There was some deleted scenes, potentially, just deleted scripts.
Okay.
That Palpatine was going to tell Anakin that he did it, but there's no canon. So in my head, there's two camps.
Okay.
There's the camps that Palpatine and Plagueis created Anakin, but in the book Plagueis, he was surprised that Anakin was around and had no father. He was there in episode 1 in the background, and he didn't know that. He's like, wait, what? There's an Anakin? Who's this Anakin guy?
Okay.
Because he was still alive in episode 1. Palpatine killed him afterwards. There's the camp that says that Plagueis was messing around with the Force.
Okay.
And in the Force itself, in reply to balance the Force, created Anakin. Like the will of the Force, the wills of the Force created Anakin.
Interesting.
So
okay.
That's what at least I believe, and that's what a lot of people believe.
Yeah. I feel like I've probably heard that
It was
honestly.
the Force created Anakin. There was no meddling. Now, that he is the chosen one because he was created by the Force, through the Force. The girls, the twins, May and Osha, they were created by a virgins in the Force. Not Anakin is a virgins in the Force himself. There was a virgins in the Force on this planet. The space witches came to that virgins and then manipulated the Force and created 1 into 2 and created Osha and May, which makes it, they were not created by the Force. They were created through the Force, right? The witches still created them.
Yeah.
But by using the Force. So it is different. It's 2 different things, Anakin and
yes,
twins.
Exactly, which is where my confusion comes in is how does that negate Anakin's experience?
Well, people took it as they were created through the Force just like Anakin, done. That was as much thought as they put into it. It was like, oh, so they're the same as Anakin.
That's all they thought about.
No, it's true. Like I've had it's like, oh, Anakin was created through the Force. These guys created through the Force. I guess they're chosen ones too.
Yeah, no, I feel like
that's not what chosen one necessarily is.
Yeah.
But that's my debunking of that opinion of you, Paul. So, I don't know if anyone Paul listen to this. Sorry.
Damn, name dropping and everything.
Sorry, Paul, you're wrong. So that's my way to change someone's mind potentially on that part of it.
Yeah.
People didn't like that they all died all at once.
I thought that was another brutal death that I appreciated.
I thought it was cool.
I thought it was really cool.
Originally, when we saw them take over what's his name's mind,
yes,
she broke the connection herself, right? So in my mind, the reason they died is she was more powerful. She could do it on her own. Yeah. all the Covenant had to work together to take over one Jedi's mind.
Well, also that Jedi was a Wookiee.
Well, right.
I feel like that would be a little more hard to do than a Padawan.
Okay, it's fine. That's neither here nor there.
Okay.
But in my mind, their consciousness was not transferred, but was in him. So cutting it off was cutting off their consciousness to return to their bodies.
Yes.
Is how I thought of it.
I do wish they kind of explained that a little more, and hey, maybe if it was renewed for a second season, we would have gotten that backstory. I doubt it, but I do wish they kind of went into their version of the Force a little bit more. Yeah. Because I was very fascinated by it, and I was still a little confused at the end of like, oh, well, why did they all die? Like, how does it work?
It almost felt, it felt like they're writing, oh, these guys all got to die. They just all die?
Okay, kind of. I guess I didn't think of it like that. I thought of it more of like, if they did take the time to explain all of that backstory to us and how their magic works, it would have just been a lot more exposition dumping, and it would have probably started to be a little boring.
Do we think that Disney thinks that Star Wars fans have low attention spans?
Oh, see, my question was, did you think Disney thinks that Star Wars fans don't like the DEI of it, which I think is their correct and accurate assumption, which is why they gave this writer or this team less to work with.
I think so, yeah.
But we weren't going to get into the politics of it.
There were
and
lesbian space witches.
And I loved that. Star Wars is for everybody. And let me just say, I so appreciate that was in Star Wars. I don't know. I really liked it.
Why would they not be lesbian? There's no space Jesus. There's no main religion that tells you can't.
Yes! Exactly! I feel like, I have never seen a Jedi be like, you actually can't love the same gender. Also, it's Star Wars. Who knows if male and female is in every single species of alien.
Correct.
Like, come on, guys.
We probably really need to start talking about Chimera. We haven't touched him at all. We know we'd like to touch him. Oh, dang it.
I beat you.
That was my joke.
Can I say that is the entire reason I started watching this show?
I imagine that was what the edits were.
My TikTok For You page was like, hey, I think you'd like this guy. And guess what? I did. First of all, aside from him being super hot, which is neither here nor there because he is very attractive.
Sure.
I loved his character. I don't know if people like didn't like him as like that like little apothecary dude. I don't know if there was any hate about his performance at all.
People pretty much liked it. They liked the idea of him pretty much a lot.
I really liked, hang on, I wrote this down because I really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that he's just some guy. Like, whenever there's, and I might be forgetting someone, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like whenever there's a Sith trying to hide their identity, there's someone important. Darth Sidious is the Chancellor. Like, they're always some, like, big, important guy.
Sure.
And Chimera is just some silly little, like, oh, hello. Like, I think that it's so funny that someone as powerful as him chose to be like, oh, little old me.
Yeah,
like, it reminds me, and I wrote this down. It reminds me of when in the Clone Wars, the Mortis arc, which is one of my favorite arcs, it reminds me when the brother was pretending to be that little creature thing.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of the silly, quirky, like, oh, I don't bother with me. Like, I'm just some little creature, little thing, little guy. Like, I loved that. I loved the duality, like the shift of even when he appeared as this, I don't know if Sith is the right word necessarily for him, but as the bad guy, when he exposed himself,
Sith.
He did, yes. So I will call him a Sith.
Yeah.
But when he like revealed himself to be the Sith, even when he looked over at May and was like, hello. Like,
hello.
I love that he went back into that character because I love the duality of that. I think that was so cool.
Chimera, I think, I really like Chimera. I think, and I agree that I don't think there was much hate towards him.
Okay.
I think there's more hate like, oh, the reveal was obvious or like whatever. Like, but that was not him like specifically, I would say. And like, did you like the reveal?
I already knew about the reveal thanks to TikTok.
Well, sure, yeah.
So I loved the reveal though. Like I obviously knew that he was the bad guy, but I loved the way they revealed it. Yeah. Having him, like having Jecki, the youngest, her body drop away to reveal him. I thought that was an incredible way to reveal him. And like, I love his character so much. I will say, didn't love the helmet at first. It did have to grow on me. I still don't
Darth
love
Smiley, they called him for a while.
That's funny.
That's what we called him.
It looked like a biker helmet.
It was
to
bit,
me, I was
the perspective was weird. I didn't like how big it was, kind of.
Yeah, it made him look like a bobblehead.
I was just looking through my complaints I got, and one that was repeated was it looked cheap. The show looked cheap.
Really?
And I think maybe it's just compared to just like the movies, because like The Last Jedi is like really beautiful. It is, and the hard part is that they do have you can't be like a dragon show where you just go out and film in castles, because we have those in real life. You do have to make it look Star Warsy and create sets, and like they had a $180 million budget on the show, but I don't know. I didn't think it looked bad.
I didn't think so either.
But a lot of people said
that was a complaint.
A lot of people. I got like 7 comments that said the costumes look cheap and the sets look cheap. And I was like, wow.
I suppose I could maybe see it for like the Jedi's robes. I didn't love those, but I thought it was just because they were supposed to be like the High Republic old Jedi robes, and they were supposed to look like terrible.
And I thought that was fine. I don't know. I
don't know.
I don't really have anything to say about that, but I thought I'd say it.
Hang on, wait. Let me check my notes. I think I literally wrote down that I loved the costumes.
Yeah.
I might be.
No, I thought it was. I don't know. I thought they were fine. I don't know. I wasn't against it.
I don't know. I wasn't even taken out of it. Like, because there are some Star Wars things that I'll watch and I'll be like, that's just a jacket. Like, that's not Star Wars clothes. What do you mean you're just wearing a hoodie? Like,
yeah, the hoodie. Yeah.
So
we've gotten 2 hoodies in Star Wars officially now.
That's so funny. I love that there's a tally now.
And that's a thing. Like I said at the first of the episode, I kind of watch it as like, oh, cool. That's how the space witches work. Oh, that's just what they wear.
Yeah.
Neat. That's how they talk about. Like that's cool. That's how you go into someone's mind. Like it's just like, okay, that's just what they wear.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't go into this like I said earlier. I don't go into these things looking for things to nitpick.
It's similar to like watching magic. Yeah. I just want to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to. Wow, that guy just disappeared. That's so cool.
Crazy.
Like, what? Oh, he's over there now. Oh, where'd my card go?
Yeah.
I'm not there like, oh, how'd they do it? What? Yeah. Why is this wrong? What they mess up? It's like you go see a play. Like I don't really look for what they're messing up unless it's like if they make a big mistake and they lose their line, sure. But again, it's like I'm not watching it to find something wrong. I want to watch Star Wars to have a good time.
Yes.
And then like maybe my second watch through, I'll like nitpick. Like it's the same with the movies. I watch it like it's like, well, I'm so stoked. If I'm like if I want to watch it again and like nitpick it, I want my initial experience to be a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I will say, on my first watch through of the show, there was nothing really that took me out of it. Like there was nothing that I disliked about the show. Obviously, like I said earlier, I didn't love Yord's character, but that was like on purpose. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I watched it like twice back to back within a week of each other, and both times I was super entertained both times. And even watching it for a third time, like I wasn't like, oh, I have to watch the show again to like study for this podcast episode. Like, no, I was excited to watch it again. Like it wasn't one of those like, oh my God, I have to watch the show again. Like
it's okay. So now 2 comments that are terrible.
Oh, okay. Let's get into it.
Thor Struple.
What an incredible name.
On Instagram has commented, did your parents not love you as a child?
We don't need to get into that.
Oh gosh.
I'm kidding. I have 2 very loving parents. Like I said, my dad introduced me to Star Wars.
I will say,
yes,
I do feel like I wish they would have wrapped a few more things up in the show. That's my biggest complaint about the show, is that a lot of it was hinging on a season 2. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
I'm not saying all shows need to wrap up in one season.
Yeah,
like because that it doesn't work well.
Mm-hmm.
You can leave some open-ended things, but it does feel like a few more things should have been not, because like it felt like the last episode was like, oh, wait for season 2. They're a teammate now. Chimera and Osha, their team. Oh, what about Darth Plagueis was in the background, and now what's her name is talking to Yoda, and now she's teaming up with May, and it's like there was like 4.
There was a lot.
There was like 4 things. Like no, now you're gonna
just now introduced.
So it's like,
no, I get it.
I'm not saying they should have wrapped up all those, but I feel like they shouldn't have done so many cliffhangers.
Yeah, I feel like they could have probably scaled back a little bit.
Or like give us a little more Darth Plagueis or something. Like, hey, I'm Darth Plagueis. You know, like because most people didn't know.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people that are like, I don't know who that random guy was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
Most people are like, I don't know. There's some weird guy in the cave, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from, but I feel like that could also add to like the mystery of it. Like I feel like that's a way for like Star Wars, like the community to get together of like, hey, you don't know who this guy is? I do. Let me tell you about it. And
it's
like
true.
I feel like that's a good way to connect with people. But I mean, that probably isn't the main goal of the show, but
which is weird because
cool.
like it feels like Disney tries to pander to like everyone.
Yeah.
Meaning, it's like, well, from their perspective, why would they not give us a little more for the casual viewer? They're just like, hey, I'll check out the Acolyte.
I feel like that's kind of what the Acolyte was, though. Like, you don't need a whole lot of. You don't need the lore to go into the show, unlike, like you said earlier, like
That's
Ahsoka.
True. I would agree.
Recently, this might be a hot take, or people might agree. I don't know. I've been so overrun with Grogu stuff.
Yep.
Baby Yoda, quote unquote, is everywhere. That is Disney trying to make a buck. Mm-hmm. And that feels like it's being shoved down Star Wars fans' throats.
Correct.
Like, so it was nice to have a refreshing show where it's like you're not trying to
nothing was
shove
like
something down. Like Disney not trying to be like, hey, we need money. Like buy this, buy that. Like so I don't know. I liked that it didn't feel like, because like I loved Mandalorian season 1. I like probably my favorite like Star Wars content in forever. Mm-hmm. But the longer it went on, I'm like, oh, we're getting a movie now. I'm like, oh, and there's this. Oh, and there's this. And I'm like, it was really good. Why are we beating a dead horse? Yeah. Like, it was really good. Leave it be. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't know.
I agree. It does feel like Acolyte wasn't. They need to hire me.
Yes. Long story short, you and I need to be the next people hired at Star Wars.
I just want them to run stuff by me and be like, dude, people are going to be freaking out in a bad way. Like, I know what people want and don't like.
You personally.
I will love it, but I know how. I deal with these people all day.
Oh, no, I get it.
I know the comments. I know what people hate.
No, that's the thing where it's like, that's why I said I'm not coming into this to change anybody's mind, because I know that I love this show, but I know that people don't love it, and I know why, and I know that I cannot change people's opinions on those specific matters.
No, yeah, like especially like those like really extreme ones, but like a lot, and that's the thing is like if people were like, yeah, I just didn't feel like it. Like, oh, that's a great explanation.
Yeah, absolutely, that's reason enough.
You know, Star Wars fans, we were talking about this earlier. Star Wars fans are the biggest haters of Star Wars.
Absolutely, yes.
But with that, the reason is they hate the fact that they don't love everything Star Wars. They hate that other people like Star Wars more than them. Like, oh, you like the Acolyte? I don't. Well, like, well, you know what? That's not canon. You're stupid. That's not real.
Just
like,
coming up with anything
if
at
they
this point.
can't like it, you must be wrong.
No, okay.
You know?
No, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
and I've seen that tons with people, and like that's how it feels. It's
and
like, well,
it's so sad. Like, what do you mean sad. You have to be a hater? Like I said earlier, Star Wars can be for everyone. There's a little bit of everything. The universe is big enough now that.
I'm scared they're never going to give us season 2.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think they will.
But what I think we could get, Tales of the Sith.
Oh, yep.
And then we get a Plagueis or Chimere situation of like what happened. I feel like that's where they could throw it in because
absolutely, because that was like the good part.
I
loved the show, but that was the part that most people agreed on.
Right, and it's less of a money thing for Disney to throw it because not as many people watch the Tales show, so it's not going to make as many people mad and make people mad at them. But it could make people happy.
To see those characters animated.
Yeah,
you saw how cool he was in live action. Imagine animation,
and it works because
everything can be stretched a little.
They
more.
did it with Ahsoka with Morgan Elsbeth. They took her from live action and it worked, and it translated fine. So like they can do it, and since Clone Wars doesn't do the crazy animation they were doing originally, they kind of tone that down, which is good. But hey, Count Dooku's got a pointy beard. It's fine. It's fine. But I could see them doing like that's how they give it to the fans that do like it.
Wasn't the guy who played Chimere, I feel like I saw an interview where he said that he came into it like late or something, where he didn't get as much time to practice as everyone else, and he still came in and performed pretty much all of his own stuff.
And he didn't technically have to because he had a mask on for half of it, right?
Yeah.
But he was really dedicated to doing it. Like he worked really hard.
I mean, I would do the same thing. I'd be if I'm in Star Wars, I want to do all this stuff. Like, but
for sure.
For him to not have as much time to practice and he still pulls out a performance like that, incredible.
And learned like a different kind of, because, I'm not into the Star Wars techniques, like lightsaber techniques, but there are the different forms. But he was using the different one, like Yord talked about it, like.
Yeah, he doesn't have.
It was sporadic. It was out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't follow the.
It doesn't follow anything.
Follow the rules or whatever. No, lightsabers were cool, and that's what I think they were banking on. People liking the show.
Yeah.
Because of that, but it was too long. It was episode 6 that they didn't fight till.
His lightsaber was cool.
His lightsaber was
though.
cool.
That
I
was
like that. I
crazy.
like that.
Being able to take it apart. Yeah.
It seems satisfying to click. I want to
Yep.
click that. And then but then like they teased like the lightsaber whip.
Oh, yeah.
But
Didn't that come from canon? Or, sorry, not canon. Didn't that come from, like, Legends?
Yeah. No, well, it was in
like,
Legends.
the whole character was from Legends,
well,
right?
No, she's from the High Republic. It's from
Not
just
Legends.
It's just from
the
canon.
book.
It's just from
Yes.
Star Wars now.
Yes.
Legends is non-canon.
Oh, you wanted to talk about Kiadi-Mundi, didn't you?
Not really.
Not really? Okay, never mind.
To me, it felt slightly forced. Here's why I think they did it.
Okay.
Because he is specifically the one that says the Sith have been extinct for a millennia in episode 1.
Okay.
So they're showing that the ploy of hiding the fact that there was a Sith worked, right? Because he was there. He knew someone was killing Jedi.
Yeah.
In Acolyte, he knew it, and at that point they didn't know who it was. And then they framed Soul at the end of it, right, to take the fall since he was already dead. All right, we don't want to be in trouble, and she didn't want to know there was her ex Padawan that was doing it. That's who Kymir was or whatever.
I wish we got. I really want more of his story.
There's
I
so
feel
much
like
more.
That's
There's
so
much more there. There's so much more there.
Absolutely, there is.
But then having him like, okay, the ploy worked. That he also thinks that it was just a rogue Jedi.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dark Jedi. And people are like, well, how would people are so pissed after that episode. They're so mad on the internet. They're like,
really?
but why would he say the Sith have been extinct for a millennia if he was there and he saw there was a Sith? They would obviously know it's a Sith. It's like, okay, they've been extinct for a millennia. So it's not going to be their first thought. Like maybe it's a rogue Jedi. That happens, I guess. Maybe it's a dark Jedi. Maybe it's a witch. We don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we think no one can kill a Jedi, but they die all the time. So like,
they die all the time.
This show they do.
Yeah, that's just so true though.
But like, I don't know.
I mean, they kind of do.
But
Qui-Gon dies literally.
People are always so mad when a show's releasing. That's why I think binge watching is much better.
Yeah.
Because like, if you have a question, now you say your stupid question online. It's like, it's called a show. They're going to explain it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't.
But
which
like, sucks.
A lot of the things are like, but like just like stupid questions. Like, okay, they're probably going to show another flashback.
Yeah.
And then they did. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll shut up. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Wait till the end of the show to make final judgments.
Absolutely.
You can make judgments.
You're allowed to have questions, but like judging and like being super critical and like angry about it right away, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Agreed.
There was one criticism that I saw, and it wasn't like a repeated thing that I saw. It's just something that I thought was interesting. There's so much of the Star Wars universe that people want to see. Like there are stories they want to see expanded upon. So why did they choose this completely new thing to go with? And my thought to that is like, well, no one knew about the Mandalorian until they told his story. Yeah. So like, why not try with a different character too? You know, it's like you're taking a shot in the dark to see what sticks and what doesn't. Like, and obviously the Mandalorian stuck and the Acolyte didn't. But like, you gotta try somehow. And so, I don't know. What do you mean you don't want to see new Star Wars stories? Like,
I think in their mind it was a safer bet because it's like, yes, everyone wants like Darth Bane and they want Nihilus. But like, if they touch that, people will be so mad.
Yes.
Because a director coming in doesn't want to just do someone else's book most times.
They have their own ideas.
They want to come up with something new and like have a fun idea and do something. But people would lose their minds if they did that. Okay, with that, thank you for making it this far in the episode. If you did, that's insane. You're an insane person.
Yes,
if you did,
I agree.
Go ahead. If you're on Spotify, leave me a review. If you're not, why are you not on Spotify?
Whoa, hey, I don't have Spotify. I'm feeling the hate, guys. I think you should leave them a hate comment instead. You're signing me off.
That's it.